This is Northern Light for Tuesday, June 23rd. It's primary day. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. The end of this year's legislative session saw the departure of more than a dozen state lawmakers, including some longtime Upstate lawmakers who have left their mark on the Capitol.
I'll miss the people I work with, the members, of course, and I'll miss, serving my district.
Also on the show today is the 50th anniversary of the Slick of 76, and a new documentary tells the story of the oil spill on the St. Lawrence River in the words of those who lived it.
The thing that people consistently tell me about is the smell, that people woke up and they could smell it. And the oil wasn't, all the way downriver all at once. It took days for it to go from Wellesley Island to Alex Bay to eventually Chippewa.
And we'll have a preview of today's North Country at Work event in Ticonderoga.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Support for Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio comes from the Adirondack Community Foundation, guiding the generosity of families and individuals to address the Adirondack region's biggest challenges, including housing, childcare, and career pathways. adkcommunityfoundation.org. And from Keys Financial Services, now partnered with BK Capital LLC, offering investments, financial planning, and insurance for over 35 years. Offices in Lake Placid and Durham, Connecticut. keys-financial.com. This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Voters in the North Country are heading to the polls today to pick candidates in a handful of primaries. Polls are open until 9 o'clock tonight. New York holds closed primaries, so you can only vote in the races for the party you're registered in. For Congress, Representative Elise Stefanik is not seeking re-election, so there are primaries for the Republican and Democratic candidates to fill that seat in the 21st District. In Watertown and the Thousand Islands, there's a Democratic primary for the 24th Congressional District. That seat is currently held by Claudia Tenney.
On the state level, there's a primary in the 118th Assembly District. That covers Long Lake, Old Forge, Lake Pleasant, and part of the Mohawk Valley. 3 Republicans are on the ballot for that race. And in one statewide race, 3 Democrats are running in the primary to be New York's controller. That's the state's top financial officer. Polls, again, are open until 9 o'clock tonight. And remember, New York holds closed primaries, so you can only vote in the races for the party that you're registered with. You can find your local polling place at elections.ny.gov and check out NCPR's coverage of these races at ncpr.org/election.
New York State has its eye on hosting another Winter Olympics. The village of Lake Placid would host many of the outdoor events like downhill and cross-country skiing, while New York City would host arena events like figure skating and hockey. It would be the third time Lake Placid has hosted the Winter Games, and the last time being the legendary 1980 Olympics. John Campbell reports for the New York Public News Network.
Governor Hochul launched a committee to study whether New York City and Lake Placid could host the 2042 Games. She's using the recent Olympics in Italy as inspiration. Milan hosted the arena-based competitions like hockey and figure skating, while the ski and sled events were held a few hours away in Cortina. The exploratory committee will examine whether something similar is feasible in New York, where Lake Placid has the ski facilities and there's no shortage of arenas downstate. The committee includes members of Hochul's administration as well as the deputy mayors from New York City and Lake Placid. It'll be a lengthy process. The International Olympic Committee hasn't laid out the bidding procedure for 2042. In Albany, I'm John Campbell for the New York Public News Network.
Traffic across the International Bridge in Ogdensburg is up for the second month in a row. According to North Country Now, the number of cars that crossed the bridge this May is 23% higher than a year ago. The new data was released at the Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority's meeting earlier this month. The uptick in traffic began in April and then rose by another 14% in May. While car traffic is up, the number of trucks and buses crossing the border through Ogdensburg is down 11% from last year. Tariffs and political threats from President Trump sparked backlash over the last year, with some Canadians choosing not to travel to the U.S. or buy American goods. The head of the Bridge and Port Authority called the recent rise in car traffic across the Ogdensburg Bridge a bright spot. Still, toll revenue is down by more than $300,000 compared to what it was back in 2019.
New York State ranks last in the nation for housing affordability and home building efforts. That's according to a recent report published by Realtor.com. Despite the fact that about 6% of the country's population lives in New York, the state accounts for just 2.6% of building permits issued nationwide. The median home price in New York last year was nearly $670,000. Meanwhile, Indiana ranks first in the nation for housing affordability and home building. The median home price last year in Indiana was under $300,000. According to the Adirondack Daily Enterprise, Governor Kathy Hochul has made housing a top priority. Her $25 billion housing agenda aims to build 100,000 homes in the next 5 years.
More than a dozen New York State lawmakers are retiring this year. As Samuel King with the New York Public News Network reports, that includes some longtime Upstate lawmakers who have left their mark on the Capitol.
A giant inflatable cow greeted attendees to this year's Dairy Day at the Legislative Office Building during the last week of session, one of the many such advocacy days that dot the calendar here for months. This Dairy Day would also be the last for Assembly Agriculture Committee Chairwoman Donna Lupardo, a Democrat from Binghamton. Dairy industry groups honored Lupardo with gifts during Dairy Day to mark her 8 years leading the committee.
I've worked very hard to make sure that hardworking men and women who help bring food from farm to table are respected, are understood for the challenges that they face, the difficulties with pricing, the difficulties with labor and utility costs. They deserve our deep gratitude and respect.
Also at Dairy Day, Assemblymember Will Barclay of Oswego County, who's leaving after 24 years in Albany.
I love ice cream. Who doesn't? I love cheese. I love anything about dairy.
He stepped aside as minority leader earlier this year.
Miss the people I work with, the members, of course, and I'll miss, serving my district. I guess those three things are the ones that stand out most in my head.
Speaker Carl Hastie paid an emotional tribute to Barclay, Lupardo, and the other departing lawmakers during the last day of the session. But he reserved his most heartfelt words for Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes of Buffalo, who has served in the role for almost 8 years and almost 24 overall in the Assembly.
Crystal, you don't know what that did to me and for me when you told me you would support me for Speaker. Love you dearly. You have been a big sister, my protector, and I am so much going to miss you. I love you so much, Crystal.
Thinking, oh my God, he's going to make me cry. But it didn't make me cry. It was very humbling, though, and quite honestly, super appreciated.
Peoples-Stokes says she's most proud of her work to bring business and educational opportunities to minority communities across New York, including the state's landmark cannabis legalization.
It set up an opportunity for Black and brown people to have a legitimate economic opportunity to grow their family and their community. And it's actually been, besides all the bumps that the agency is going through, the intent of the legislation is working.
She says she hopes the next majority leader will again be someone from upstate or western New York. Hastie has been non-committal on that point. Peoples-Stokes also had some thoughts on Albany's future, with so many longtime lawmakers leaving the Capitol.
I think it's going to be important to try and make sure that, the honor of the House is always upheld. I mean, I know that sounds like a weak kind of terminology, but if you lose that honor, then as a collective, you're not so honorable anymore.
In all, 15 state assembly members are retiring. That's 10% of the chamber, as well as 4 state senators, including Deputy Majority Leader Mike Gianaris of Queens. In Albany, I'm Samuel King for the New York Public News Network.
This is NCPR. You're listening to Northern Light, only here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:11. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around. We'll get a preview of an NCPR story collection event in Ticonderoga today.
That's coming up in just a few minutes here on Northern Light. But first, we'll listen to a little bit more music from the Whitmore Jazz Trio out of Plattsburgh. Northern Light is supported by the Seagull Festival in Schroon Lake, presenting its 111th summer season of opera and musical theater in 2026. More at seagullfestival.org. And from the Thousand Islands Arts Center, opening a new facility in Clayton this June, offering instructional classes for all ages, exhibitions, and events year-round. Details at tiartcenter.org.
Years ago today, on June 23rd, 1976, the NEPCO oil tanker ran aground, spilling hundreds of thousands of gallons of crude oil into the St. Lawrence River. The so-called Slick of 76 has become a thing of folklore and a warning of environmental devastation in the Thousand Islands and beyond. It even spawned a musical, and we'll hear some of that music from it after this interview.
North Country native Emma French wanted to preserve the oral history of that time, so she made a short documentary featuring the residents, the muckers, and the responders to the disaster. French told David Summerstein that it was a foggy, humid night when the tanker hit a shoal off of Wellesley Island.
It was a large bang. Somebody that actually talked to the captain of that ship, the captain said that, oh yeah, we heard a large thunder, and then we kept going. So they kept going upriver after they had initially broken the hull. They went upriver and they went into Browns Bay, where they were supposed to stay, but they hit ground again, didn't think anything of it, and then they kept going upriver. So at 1:30 a.m. in the morning on June 23rd, there was 300,000 gallons of oil leaking from this barge into the St. Lawrence River, and they continued upriver.
One of the things that I learned from your video was that they didn't even realize that they were leaking this oil and that they were just going all up the river, leaking oil the whole way.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that you heard a bang in your ship and you didn't think anything of it. I don't know what the captain was thinking. I don't know what the crew was thinking. But pretty quickly after the first couple of hits, people could smell it.
I was closing up. Just when we opened the door to walk out, you could just, the air was just smell of fuel oil. About the same time the sirens started.
And so then people woke up the next morning to hundreds of thousands of gallons of oil, of crude oil, washing up on the shores of the beautiful Thousand Islands, the beautiful St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, and the thing that people consistently tell me about is the smell, that people woke up and they could smell it. And the oil wasn't, all the way downriver all at once. It took days for it to go from Wellesley Island to Alex Bay to eventually Chippewa. And if you think about the nature of those bays, it sucks everything in.
So they recruited and paid people to clean the shoreline.
Taking applicants, and basically if you could walk and talk and you looked reasonable, you were hired on the spot.
It didn't take any experience to muck. Bend over, pick it up.
Like just hand, rock by rock, duck by duck. I'm sure you talked to some of those people.
Yeah, and it was not easy work. Some of them were wearing, it was limited equipment, but you had wetsuits or big, heavy suits, and it was hot and it was summertime and you were going rock by rock, and they had absorbent pads and they had things that looked like pom-poms that they were just using to soak up as much oil as possible. Alix White told me that they were chopping down the wetlands, the reeds, because you can't get oil out from the reeds. And one of the most devastating things was the people saw the wildlife, the effect of the wildlife. So the fish were dying, the birds were dying. And this is June. That's one of the most important times for the river because things are reproducing.
Tell us about an interview, something that surprised you, a conversation that you had with somebody.
Yeah, Alix White was one of my favorite interviews. She was the second woman hired to be a mucker, which was a big deal. Don Price, who ran Sealand Restoration, wasn't hiring women at first. And she was a mucker. She was doing those sorts of things. And I'm going to bring it back to the wildlife because we talk about the birds and the fish, but blue herons are a particularly iconic species of the St. Lawrence River. And she described how one day somebody brought in a blue heron covered in oil.
And I was just holding it and watching the weight of the oil pull the feathers off the spine. And Sammy Vafiatis took it away from me and killed it because that bird was not going to survive. For me, that was my moment of understanding how serious that was.
When she was telling me that and describing that to me, you could tell that it was something that was deeply moving to her. I hesitate to use the word traumatic, but there's got to be some desensitization when you're doing that day in and day out. And so to be in that field of desensitization and then to have a moment where you're like, wait, this is a lot more serious than you were thinking about. I think she did a wonderful job of explaining it to me.
What was it like for you to talk with all these people who had firsthand knowledge, you who had only heard of this from your grandparents, from your parents, as, sort of a younger generation person? As
a person who likes to document everything, really, I just wanted to get as much information as possible any way that I could. So I went to school for film, and that was the best way that I knew how to document everything. And so while I had people in my interviews, I just wanted them to talk and talk and talk. Obviously, I feel a very, very personal connection to this area and to the river. And so really, at some points, it just felt like two people who love the river talking about the river. And it doesn't feel like younger generation, older generation. It just feels like, all right, we got this shared love. You had an experience. What was that experience?
Emma French is a filmmaker from the North Country. She was working with Save the River in Clayton when she made the short documentary remembering the 1976 NEPCO oil spill. The massive oil spill happened 50 years ago today. She spoke with David Summerstein.
As Catherine said earlier, part of the public education effort about the spill was a musical. We have a song here from the original cast recording of The Slick of 76, a musical catastrophe. It's the reprise of River Song.
We'll never get anywhere. It can't work. Every man for himself. That's not what community is. That's not what the river is. The river is made of all of us, all together, all connected. If the river dies, we die. We are the river.
I like the sigh of a child. The peace you find here may last or fade. But we
River Song from the original cast recording of The Slick of 76, a musical catastrophe. Today marks 50 years since that massive oil spill on the St. Lawrence River. This is NCPR. You're listening to Northern Light, only here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:24. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around after the show for Bird Note. That's coming up at 8:42. With our eyes to the skies, sunset in Vermontville is at 8:45 tonight. And if you have a chance to look up, the moon is a waxing gibbous at 67% a full.
Got sunny skies coming your way today and tomorrow, too. Dry conditions and pretty seasonable temperatures. Highs expected to be in the mid-upper 70s today and tomorrow. As we get into the later part of the week, there is a cold front coming our way that could really make it much more likely to have rain and thunderstorms more towards the end of the week and continuing into the weekend. At last check, though, it was 64 degrees in Fort Drum, 61 degrees right now in Saranac Lake, 65 in Plattsburgh, 16 degrees in Gananoque, Ontario, and 63 degrees in Glens Falls.
NCPR's North Country at Work project will be in Ticonderoga gathering your work stories today. You can come out to the Black Watch Library between 3 and 6 o'clock for an interview and a chance to be featured in our North Country at Work series. To give a little preview of this event, we have our North Country at Work coordinator, Anna Williams-Bergen. Good morning, Anna.
Good morning, Catherine. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, so what is today's Ticonderoga North Country at Work event all about?
The goal is for us to basically set up shop and you to come tell us what life is like in your community. And we do it through the lens of work. So you can tell us about what you do for work now, what you did, maybe if you're retired. The main thing is that the work has to happen here in the North Country, or if you work remotely from Ticonderoga, that's great too. We want to hear about what it's like to make a living here. Maybe you have a job that you're really passionate about. Maybe you have to do a lot of different jobs to make ends meet, and you can tell us about what it's like. Whatever your work story is, we'd like to hear it. You can walk right in. We'll have a table and a big sign, and you can walk right up, introduce yourself, and we'll chat.
Yeah, so what's that chatting part like? Like, what do they need to bring anything? What should they expect?
You basically just need to bring yourself. If you've got photos of yourself at work too, those are great. But otherwise, really just show up and we can kind of take it from there. We'll ask you about what you do, what you like about it, what the challenges are, and see where the conversation takes us.
Sounds fun. What are like some of your favorite conversations that you've had with people around the North Country?
My favorite is when we don't know people are coming. They just show up and they have like the most interesting story ever. A couple weeks ago, we were in Champlain for an event like this, and there was a really interesting woman who just showed up. She was at the library with her kid, and she agreed to do an interview, and she told me all about her career as an EMT and then working in assisted living. and how she had to kind of string together different kinds of work to provide a good living for her kids and her family. And it was fascinating. And she just showed up. It was a wonderful surprise.
Sounds like a really great time. What are the details for today?
So we'll be at the Black Watch Library. That's right in downtown Ticonderoga. 3 to 6 p.m. You can just swing by. If you'd like to get in touch beforehand and, make sure no one else is going to be there at that time, you can shoot us an email. It's work@ncpr.org. And that's a great place to ask me any questions if you've got them as well.
Again, that's NCPR's North Country at Work project. It'll be in Ticonderoga from 3 to 6 today at the Black Watch Library. Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Catherine.
And there are more North Country at Work events scheduled for this summer, so make sure to check them out. You can find a list of their events at ncpr.org/work. Coming up in July, they'll be making stops in DePauxville at the library in Chameau, and in Horicon, too, at the Town of Horicon Museum in Brant Lake. Again, you can find out more about those North Country at Work events and listen to North Country at Work stories told by your neighbors at ncpr.org/work. They want to hear from you, too. Meet us at one of those events or shoot an email to work@ncpr.org.
That's it for the show. Stick around for news headlines from NPR coming up next.
Northern Light is supported by McFadden Deere Insurance in Canton, Potsdam, and Gouverneur, encouraging North Country residents to support local nonprofit organizations that provide services to those in need. McFaddenDeere.com. And from the Adirondack Land Trust, working with communities to protect trails and open spaces for the benefit of all. Details at AdirondackLandTrust.org.
If you miss an episode of Northern Light, never fear. You can listen back to the archive at any place you get your podcasts.
Keep up with NCPR throughout the day, too, on Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. And shoot the news team an email to news@ncpr.org. Theme music by Danny Thomas of Canton. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Be well.